Hi, folks. My name is Michael Neff. I'm the founder and director of Gears Sports. And I've been asked by several people to make a video on the work that we've been doing with Cam Smith in light of the Open Championship. Congratulations, Cam. It's exciting. We captured him at TPC Sawgrass, where he lives and practices, about 2 months ago, right before the PGA Championship. And Cam's coach, his name is Grant Field, and he's from Australia. Such a cool guy. I just love him. He's a really good coach, and he's a better guy. And I just love all these Australian guys. I've been just so down to earth. And guys, Dominic Azzopardi, who is Lucas Herbert's coach. We've been working with Lucas a lot lately on Gears. Chris Gibson down there, who has a system, and Max Horland, and Benji at TaylorMade, and Josh down at Australian Golf Club. I mean, it's really been fun to work with Australian golf professionals, and I just love it. No ego, they just want to get their guys better, and it's been really refreshing to work with them. Anyways, Cam statistically is not a very good driver of the golf ball, and there's a lot to unpack on that, but before Gears, he was 144th in shots gained off the tee. And so Grant wanted to get him on Gears to see if there's anything we can see that's under the hood. Gears is the only system in the world that gives body data, wrist data, grip data, shaft data, and head data, ball data at the same time. So I think how the player reacts to the club, or how the player is pushing or pulling the club, it's the best way to actually measure or to analyze a golf swing, because we're so accurate and we're measuring the whole thing. So I'm glad that we were able to do this. So Cam, basically, on every other club in his bag beside the driver, he's like lights out. Like statistically, he's amazing. Like obviously that putter is straight Excalibur from heaven above, and even like all the way to his 3-wood. His 3-wood stats are great. Hits a really good, nice straight ball with his 3-wood. But the driver's been a little bit of a bugaboo for him, and so they wanted to take a look at that. So we captured Cam, and here's basically his game driver here. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of analyze, I'll show you this swing here. This is typical, kind of a Cam gets the face pretty shut and across the line a little bit. And he doesn't really do this with the other clubs in his bag. It just gets a little shut and across the line. And he's not the kind of guy that, if you were to open him up and lay him off a little bit more, he doesn't like to have a lot of technical feels, or, everything else is so good in his bag, but to change anything drastic, I think would have been a mistake. But you can kind of see he gets a little shut and across. The club comes down right here, and now it's going to start later as he gets into this position here. The handle starts to push out toward the ball, and that's basically what he looks like at mid down. So the handle's kind of a long ways away from his body. The wrist is in flexion here, and he hits a very nice cut. So on holes that are left to right, he is off the charts good, like really good. He can hit a cut. He's set up perfectly for a cut here. And of all the database that I have, like everybody that has this kind of shut left wrist and a little bit on the shut side, low closure rate, those guys all hit cuts, like Brooks Koepka or DJ, or, we got a whole database of guys on this, but basically people are hitting cuts from here. And then he basically rounds that corner pretty hard. Lots of body rotation, low closure rate, club exits kind of on the low side. Most other guys that are kind of hitting a higher ball flight get that club up here a little bit more, but I think you need, to really analyze this well, you have to be able to see the whole thing, body and club. When we met with Cam, his big thing was he wanted to be able to hit a draw. He even pointed out, like on hole like 10 at Augusta, he looked at me, he's like, I don't know where it's going. Like literally it goes like that. So that's kind of a scary thought, to be on that tee and not where the ball's going, not know where it's going, or hole number 2 or hole number 13, or where you do have an advantage if you can hit a draw, long draw. But That's in order for him to basically hit a controlled draw from here, he would have to kind of stall out and hang back. His wrist setup, his wrist patterns, and the delivery just don't really set up for a controlled draw. He would have to have the handle more in here, not so much flexion, kind of like Rory does, who can hit kind of a big push draw or a cut or kind of both ways. But when the handle's out like that and the face is shut and the wrists are shut, we just don't see anybody on tour trying to hit draws from there. So we looked really closely at that, but this is the numbers. It's kind of interesting. So grip roll, that's kind of like how much he twists the grip, was on the middle to low side. So his, kind of lower closure rate, which is, set up perfectly for his cut. The shaft kick is negative, meaning that, so this is kind of a little bit of a red flag for me, that the shaft itself is actually slowing down at impact. So shaft kick is where it's how much the shaft itself contributes to the overall club head speed. And then, so that was negative. And then shaft twist, the club had a little bit of twist in it, but not very much, 1.2. Shaft twist is, in this case, negative would be counterclockwise or toward the target twist. So the more negative that number gets, the more closed the face gets. And then you have deflection. Deflection is this motion right here. If you look face on, you can kind of see this is called lead deflection. Lag deflection would be if the head was back here and the shaft were forward. And then you have droop, and that's how much the shaft droops this way or doesn't droop. And then you have twist, so that's how much the shaft itself is twisting. So X, Y, Z, 3D. That's the value of 3D. It allows us to measure this kind of stuff. The shaft is constantly it's going in those three axes, twist, deflection, and droop, and it's constantly fighting each other. Those three things are fighting each other. It's a tug of war the whole way. And in this case, Cam has a lot of shaft droop. On average, this particular swing was 56 millimeters of shaft droop, but on average, it was about 60. And so that shaft is drooping a lot, and that shaft droop is kind of killing the other two, if you will. It's kind of winning the battle. So that's why he has such low deflection, and that's why he has such low shaft kick or negative shaft kick, and that's also why we don't have much shaft twist. So that drooping action was really kind of winning the tug of war, and which is what we would want it to do if we want to hit a cut. Brooks Koepka is a great example of this, has the lowest closure rate, most deflection of any tour player that we've captured, and he never basically hits this perfect cut, doesn't really hit draws. But Cam really wanted to hit a draw, so I said, okay, well, I can't really change his golf swing much. His coach doesn't want me to do that. He doesn't want me to say much. So what can I do with the golf club to make it draw more? Well, what I did was I tried a stiffer shaft. So this flies in the face of everything that the industry tells us. We're doing a lot of research these days on robots and how the shaft is moving. And basically, the more it droops, the less it twists toward the target, or less the face closed. And the more it droops, the more the face opens. So when the shaft droops, that's actually opening the face. So he's got the handle out and it's moving up. This is what it looks like at the start. So you see how the handle's low and the handle moves up into impact like that. You see that? It's kind of a good one there. So the more as that handle moves up, that's what's causing this shaft droop. So to compensate for that, I put a black. So Titleist sent us some different shafts, and he plays with a blue. This is a blue Ventus, and we put a black Ventus in there. I think Ventus makes a great product. I think Mitsubishi probably makes a little more consistent stuff, but Fuji makes good product, and I had no problem with that, and it looked good. And we put the black in here, and it didn't droop as much. So in fact, if you look over here, we got down to 43.8 millimeters of shaft droop, which is about roughly 15, in some cases 20 millimeters less. And you can kind of visually see that. And the blue is the stiff one, and the yellow is the light one, or is the softer one. And so what that did was, as we took the droop out, we actually got more deflection, more shaft kick, and more shaft twist. So now the droop isn't winning the battle so much, and that allows the other two axes to do their job, so for a lack of a better word. So this was definitely more draw bias and faster. So the first thing you want to do is go out to we were at Steep Sawgrass, and the first thing you want to do is go out to, he started hitting kind of a straighter ball. He was able to turn it over. He went out to the 18th hole at Sawgrass, which is where he won that tournament. But he blocked it way right, and he had to chip out and get up and down to win that tournament. But that's a perfect hole for him, like to be able to try this out. And so he really wanted to be able to hit this draw. And I didn't say anything, but I don't think he should be trying to hit a draw. And, but I kind of just stayed away from that, and I just kind of gave him what he wanted a little bit. And that definitely helped that. And he went out and PGA Championship, he had his best driving stats of possibly, I think he was 12th or 13th shots gained off the tee. And that might be the best of his career. I think that was. He did not putt good that week, but he drove it really well. But then the next tournament, he was kind of like, everything's as he's going along here, they decided to go back to this other club because the ball was kind of straight. Now on these left to right holes, the ball would kind of go straight and it wouldn't cut as much. And so basically this journey was kind of a way to convince him that it's okay to hit cuts. And, I think one of the things I explained to Grant was like, hey, we just don't see in our database of hundreds of touring professionals, we don't see a lot of guys trying to hit draws from this position where the handle's out, it's in flexion, it's a little closed. I haven't captured everybody, but we've got hundreds of touring professionals and top high-end players with John Rahm and Rory and DJ and Tony Finau and a bunch of awesome guys. And, we just don't see guys hitting draws from this position too much. So I think what Gears did for them was it allowed Grant to kind of, hey, dude, it's okay to hit a cut. You don't have to hit draws. And if you need to hit a draw, use your 3-wood. So on 10 at Augusta, using your 3-wood would be a really good idea. And maybe instead of having a 9-iron in, you got a 7-iron. Well, Cam's strength is his iron play, especially his mid to short iron play is just lights out. So I think what happened was we had a really cut bias shaft in here, and it set up perfectly for his cut and matched his cut pattern so good, but he's trying to hit a draw with that golf club. So he's really fighting it. It's going to be super hard to hit a draw with the shaft drooping that much. And so that's kind of where, and we tested that out so you could see, so I hit a straighter ball, but I need to hit a cut. I'm really happy that we were able to get him on, because I think what it did ultimately was give him the confidence that, hey, it's okay. I don't have to hit a draw off the tee. So since Gears, he hasn't been less than 50th on shots gained off the tee. At the Open, I think he was 35th. So to me, if Cam can stay in the top 50 driving, he's going to be really hard to beat. Like with that amazing short, everything else in his bag, which is so good, he's going to be really tough to beat. This was not a huge invasive thing. It's not like we had to retool his golf swing or change the golf swing, his driver golf swing to hit a straighter ball. But it is a show of how club fitting and instruction have to match each other. And how Gears bridges the gap between custom fitting, club fitting, and instruction. You have to understand the principles of instruction to know what to do with this golf club from a fitting standpoint. So this is one of the things that Gears is really good at, and something that we really encourage our owners and future owners to consider, that you got to kind of understand all these pieces and how they all mix and match. And it's really about mixing and matching and getting the player in a place where they can be as aggressive as possible and match everything up. So I'm really happy about the results. And I'm really proud of Grant for trusting the process here. I think that's the mark of a very good coach, somebody that's willing to look under the hood at everything, to look as much data as possible so that you can get the answers and match things up. I'm grateful for our relationship because he trusted me and he trusted Gears, and I'm really grateful for that. And I'm super happy that Cam is is playing well and he's driving it well. I think he's got a bright future. So congrats to Cam. Thanks to Grant for your time and working with us and trusting us, and we're really proud to have an association with you guys, and we're excited for Cam's future. So go Gears.